So why don't we go ahead and begin? Um, so we'll start with our grounding, kind of our arriving. It's like there's kind of these steps of just, yeah, kind of moving from whatever else we were doing and then settling in and just finding like, oh, wait a minute, what is my body doing? Or like, what makes sense of how to position so I can be most at ease or relaxed. You know, in a way, it's almost like we're relaxed, but we're not just like completely turn into jelly kind of thing. And um, but this is it's like already we're very aware of what works, what doesn't work. You might close your eyes. But even that, if you close your eyes, like your eyelids are just relaxed, face is relaxing in a way, though the body kind of comes alive. I think there is maybe a stillness, just, not moving. And sometimes just this kind of official sound of the bell can be helpful. What does it feel like to be still, just stopping? It's interesting how we start by stopping. In a way, like we're so used to, like in that habit, right, of like, I got to get things done. I got to get things done. It's a different kind of awareness or seeing, like, it's also important to be free of tension. And this takes practice. This non-distraction. Right away when we started practicing, I, instead of calling this a meditation practice, it was a non-distraction practice. And we even start just by feeling the body or noticing your whole environment, your surroundings, especially when we practice at home. What's going on? Are there sounds around you? Sometimes this is called witnessing. I don't need to fix anything. I'm just Just kind of taking in, how does the body feel today? What is your mood? What is your attitude right now? So sometimes we kind of sink into this stillness. Like it's easy. And other times, like, oh, I'm in the middle of a tornado. You might feel then physically what is touching the earth. Like, oh, I'm grounding. There might even be kind of quickly what I would describe as kind of a wow. You know, there's kind of this wow effect. Like, oh my word, I'm alive. I kind of forgot. You know, like this is, what it feels like to be alive. Breathing. This is what the breath feels like. If it helps, just bring awareness to areas like your throat, maybe your lips. These are areas that we often carry tension. Like all I know is I'm softening my lips. Or the space at your forehead. You know how we can kind of fret our brow. But right now, just softening, you know, letting the space between the eyebrows just open up. Appreciate being. I don't even have to try to meditate right now. Maybe your shoulders relax down a little bit. Even feeling the belly, area of the belly. It's easy to really get hardened in the belly. Emotional stress. It's a really gift that we give ourselves. Sometimes called the sacred pause. Feel into this moment. You're using your spidey senses, you know, like maybe you sense the temperature in the room, or there might be people around you or pets. And that's okay. This is the world. It's a little messy, a little chaotic. So both these qualities of like, oh, some sort of like uprightness, yeah, feeling, yes, and present. This is what it feels like to be present. And I have to choose it. Otherwise, there's a strong habit to drift off, just follow some train of thought, takes you away. But I know I'm right here. Sometimes even like a deeper breath, like when the distractions are strong. Right. I kind of sweep through the body with a deeper breath. I'm just going to soften my throat again. Oh, there's a lot of repetition here. Coming back. It's this interesting balance, both upright but relaxed. So even just this sound of the bell is just a little transition. I'm going to share a little bit of the teachings. It's nice to have instruction about what are we doing here. Um, so this is what Jenny and I usually do is that there's some instruction and then there's practice, instruction, practice, and every week you kind of don't know what we're going to be sharing here. But I have been sharing a little bit from a book, and don't worry if I think it was 2 weeks ago where I introduced this. So I'm sharing from this book by Tony Bernhardt called, the title of the book is How to Be Sick. And this is, well, it's good to know like the kind of the subtitle here is a Buddhist inspired guide for the chronically ill and their caregivers. So you might read the title and go, well, I'm not sick, doesn't matter. But we all know that illness comes and goes in our life. And we also have people around us who are ill, and sometimes people who are chronically ill. Um, and whether it's you right now, or this can even be good for in the future, or just understanding, other people in the world who are living with chronic illness. Um, and when I share from a book too, and it might, over time, you might feel like, boy, this book really speaks to me. And, you could get it because there's just no way I could share everything in this book. I'm going to give just a, a couple little sentences. um, but it's almost like I could pick up any Dharma book because we're all it we're doing this same thing, which first of all, let's just recognize that coming to a class like this, it's kind of not for everyone. Like we would think that all of the teachings, the Buddhist teachings, well, everyone should study them and practice them. But sometimes when when it comes to meditation, like for some people, it's like they're just not quite there yet. Or this idea of being with how things are right now. It could actually, to ask some people to sit with things in their life as they are, it could be just uh, stressful. It could actually increase their anxiety. Like, I just can't bear it right now. So there might be some different approaches other than a seated meditation class like this. But for some people who are ready to kind of just be with all of the aspects, things as they are, even if you're, in a situation right now where you are chronically ill or in chronic pain. If you feel like I'm ready for these teachings to be with things as they are. So this is where we sometimes use that word seeker. Someone is a seeker. Like there's gotta be, I bet there's another way of relating to being ill, or even something like how we are all dealing with a pandemic, this chronic situation almost of what the pandemic feels like. When will it end? We all have that stress, right? Like a little underlying, like, I just want this to be over. And so it's a little bit similar. And so we have a common experience of this right now. So to ask, like, and I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, this is kind of a deep study of being with things as they are. That statement that Jenny and I often use, like, this is how it is right now. Um, I shared in the beginning of her book that Tony said it took her 7 years to really feel this full study of having a moment of being free with the way that things were. After 7 years, she was still sick, still in bed, and her illness uh, resulted in states of like deep fatigue, not getting out of bed, and for her to come to a point like, well, this is just how it is right now, in a really simple way. I'm in bed, this is my life. um, I used to be a professor at a university and I'm not that anymore, and that's okay. To have like such a plain spoken like, yeah, it's like this, I can't do this anymore. And then she started doing things like appreciating music, like it it took a lot of time. You could just feel it in the book, how long it took her, and the zigzag of like, I don't like it anymore. I don't like this. And like, well, maybe I can open to it. So the like this being with the way things are is like it's kind of zigzaggy, it's not a linear thing. And so it really is just, and I know it's just her story, but it's just a really good example of kind of how it takes a while. And especially when um, sometimes with illness, for example, like it can come suddenly. And just like her, in a way, she got a virus and it is kind of a little similar to COVID, almost what she describes. But this virus, like it was just sudden, like bam. And a lot of these things happen to us or happen maybe to someone in our life. Bam, they have a stroke. Like I have a friend right now whose partner, really severe stroke, whole life just turned upside down. So of course, it would take some time, but it's almost excruciating, right? To that time it's going to take to open to how things are. So this is, with great compassion and care, we just give ourselves like just space. In chapter 2, then, so the title of chapter 2 in the book is Staying Sick. And the subtitle is This Can't Be Happening to Me. And so it feels like kind of her next layer of experience where, she kept thinking she was, well, clearly this virus is going to get better. And so chapter 2 is how she's dealing with staying sick. And she put a little quote at the beginning of this, and this quote is by a woman, Byron Katie. She says, "You can argue with the way things are. You'll lose, but only 100% of the time." But we do this a lot, I think, and what we're here is a lot of this arguing goes in the background. Like, it's like we don't even notice it's going on, where we're taking issue with how things are. We're arguing with it. This shouldn't be happening to me. And when we stop, and I feel from my personal experience, like I have to stop. I mean, I have to stop, full stop, in order to really see what's going on in there. Like, oh, wow, yeah, I'm pissed off. Like I really don't like the way things are, and I can feel it in my body, and then I feel this hardening, this tension that I'm carrying all the time. So we're undertaking this training, and is what it's called. We're like apprentices. I'm interested in freeing myself of this tension of not wanting things to be how they are. And again, it can be a personal, this is happening to me, or it can be in the world, like with a pandemic. So, and then we get little tastes of this, little glimpses, which I think too happen naturally. Sometimes it's kind of spontaneously, of a moment of like the release of the heart, like, ah, I'm just gonna accept that this is how it is. But I find that when we really do this with teachings, showing us, guiding us, that there can be like leaps and bounds of how, not only can we have glimpses of being okay with the way things are, but longer periods of time where we're free of tension. And then we even see, well, what is it that leads to this sustained freedom of tension? And then it's a really personal path. So we want to notice we actually want to see the ways that we argue with the way things are. We like to blame people. Well, and how that feels when we do that. How does it feel to let go of the argument? Or how we often fantasize about, yeah, if only it wasn't like this. Oh, we can spend hours just fantasizing about if things weren't like this. So a lot of mental energy that we expend on the hating, the disliking, the wishing, the fantasizing. So we're just experimenting. Does this lead to the decrease of tension or not? And again, I just keep pointing to this, how with Tony, it was 7 years, of like wrestling, kind of wrestling with things. And this can happen too, even if pain or illness is not chronic, for people nowadays who have COVID, for example, there can be a week or 2 weeks of when is this going to go away? Will it go away? And we have that unknown. So, yeah, this is um, no small practice. Um, but I find it is really good to just see when we are kind of sitting with this, is this leading to the heart opening, the mind not wrestling or arguing, but to even notice if this actually increases your anxiety. Like maybe, um, this class, this, just what we're doing, who knows? Maybe it doesn't lead to the decrease. And so, we could study in other ways. Like I said, it just so happens this is more of a seated meditation class. There can be other routes like, like the walking meditation, or like I teach like mindful yoga that's available through Mind Body Solutions. Yeah, really basic movement or breathing practices that, yeah, you might notice like that works for me. I can't tell you how many times I've had people tell me in my yoga classes, like, I need to do mindful movement. That's where I'm at right now. So, and this was many months ago, but there was someone even in this class who found that they needed to rock, like they were in a rocking chair, and said, yeah, huh, this is interesting. This rocking really works for me. Like, just this is soothing. This is helping me decrease my anxiety, help me eventually be open to the way things are right now. And it's important, like it's right now, huh? So let's go ahead and set up and practice together. So, kind of feeling into today or right now, what would work for exploring being, just being. So yeah, another teacher who called this whole practice about knowing being, how to know being. So the pose that we choose, we want to make sure is comfortable. In a way, there's something just really natural like naturally wise about stopping. It can be a way of just connecting or remembering what's important to us. Well, when you're drawn to kind of a class like this, it's like I'm interested in cultivating this quality of freedom of tension or even a feeling of lightheartedness. What does it feel like to be patient? Just be with your body as it is. Isn't it a relief to put down any of the ways that you criticize or judge your body? Ah, what a relief just to put that down. Really, just a natural connection. It's natural to care. It's really beautiful, even just to see that it is wisdom, wisdom and compassion that has brought us here. Bringing awareness again, just that's feeling of the skin, maybe your face softening. You can just let go of any expression or possibly even like your jaw relaxing, mouth is soft. It's almost radical to be with the body without turning it into a problem. And so there's a flow of breath. You might even sense into the airways themselves, like the nose, like aligning your airways so the breath can flow. Your whole body is breathing. Use your imagination and feel whole body is breathing. Maybe if there is anywhere in your body where you're feeling pain, what happens when you get a little closer? Moving awareness deeper into that area. Or sometimes when we feel like anger, you could just move awareness into your belly. You know, anger can harden us, so even just a little bit, the body or the belly is softening. Could get more clear around, tension and hatred. It's not a long-term solution. Really making sure even the little spaces like your lips, soft, with noticing even your hands, just so relaxed. Actual like space around your brain. Now it's important even, it's right, it's easy at the end of our practice to start judging, like, well, was that a good sit or a bad sit? And um, I mean, certainly it is good to kind of feel But I think a lot of what we like the benefit we get here, it can show up later, like later, a few days or, of what the impact of having taken this time. Like if you just sat and you had that experience of like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I was just thinking the whole time. Like, well, that's just really normal. So, but there can be a benefit of just sitting, just still taking this time of being still, or maybe moments of ah, yeah, just so you know. So we'll end here.